Hey everybody, it's John Stetch here. Today I want to talk about free improv on piano. So let's say you're by yourself, you just want to make something up, either it could be a short piece or a long piece. How does that process work and what can you practice to make that better? And I don't mean the crazy stuff like that. I find it fairly easy to do very dissonant chromatic improv. That's a little more easy to me. I like doing that stuff. But I'm just saying the hardest, I think, is the traditional harmony where, let's say it sounds somewhere between like a pop song and a Broadway show tune, like trying to make up songs that have harmony, maybe sounds like movie background music, that kind of thing. So, yeah, somewhat traditional 20th century harmony. And I mean the whole century, I don't mean just, and I mean all genres too. So what can you do to make that better? Well, get comfortable with all of the keys, obviously. So C major, just noodle around in C, just get to know it. But that's just the right hand, right? But the left hand, you should, or even both hands, but you should know all your chords that are related to C. So for example, for sure, the one chord, C major over E, C major over G, that has quite a different sound, right? I love inversions. That's what you call inversions. So F major over A, F major over C, and then let's say G, and your G7 over different notes. And now I'm gonna I was just going down in the bass, but trying all the different inversions of whatever chord ends up there. So, I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to explain this today, but I think, yeah, getting to know your keys really well, and then that's only the first part, right? What can you do next? I found that it was, when I first started getting into this 20 years ago, I remember thinking it's overwhelming and just very problematic because there's too many choices. And when you play a more traditional simple harmony, it's easier to make a mistake and make a bad decision. That's just something that doesn't make sense or suddenly stands out and everybody knows it. So then I started making some limitation exercises to practice that. Like, because I remember telling myself one day, okay, I'm just gonna at least do one smart thing and just sound good in C. So, yay, close the book, chapter done. See, I felt good about that. It was so simple that I couldn't possibly make a mistake on it. And that builds your confidence. So you got to just do small things like that. So let's add in the 4 chord, the F chord. So we can get way harder after this in a minute, but I just want to start real simple. Okay, so, and I'm not sure what melody I'm playing. I'm just kind of choosing one of the notes of the chord that we're on and then repeating it. So. Shortest song in all of history. True, but successful. It was okay. It wasn't that terrible, and I didn't make any mistakes because it was so easy. So, but as you add in more chords and take more risks and more chances, then you might make a kind of a funny mistake. Like you might play. Like that. That's like C over a G chord. But if we keep it safe and simple, then that's not going to happen. So let's add in a couple other chords. What are some common chords that go with C major that are in the key already? And for example, we mentioned the 4 and the 5 for sure. So F and G, those are common triads in the key of C. But also a D minor, right? Like D minor, E minor. These are called your diatonic triads. A minor is pretty popular too, like that's your relative minor. And B diminished to some degree. Okay, so let's add some more of those. So remember Puff the Magic Dragon? It goes from 1, I think it does, and then it goes to E minor. chord, there's that's going from the 1 down to A minor, down to F major. So those are all common, typical patterns. Well, we can try to come up with something a bit more original. So let's see. And remember, just repetition alone. Don't feel the need that you got to find something new, find something because you're getting bored. That's okay. To just stay in one place for a minute and then maybe even repeat it can be very powerful. Remember in John Lennon's Imagine, it's like right, and then you think, that he's repeated that chord so many times. Now we need something new. Actually, it's sort of new, but the next section starts on the same chord again. I mean, different direction that it heads in, but it's not like I found that amazing that he didn't need to go to a brand new key or something. So let's try something again. C major. I'll add some more chords. Now, if I play this. There probably are songs like that. It's possible. It's just that you wouldn't really be able to sing that, right? You'd run out of air. So remember, there's got to be some space. And I think all successful music in the last, 300 years, most of it has had repetition of smaller phrases. Or maybe a long phrase, but then repeated so that you can remember it. At least most of the time, right? So let's try that. Wait. Nothing wrong with waiting, right? Leaving some space. How about repeating that? And what about going to a chord that maybe we didn't expect? Okay, so I pretty much didn't make any mistakes there because it was just sticking in the white keys, sticking in C major, and with chords I know really well. And I was pretty much picking up melodies that would be one of the chord tones. So whatever chord I'm on, that was the note I used. Let's try notes that aren't the chord tone. So that was D over C, right? So, and plenty of songs do that, right? So, but I'm just saying, practice that. Okay, let's go to F. That was the 6, so that was the D over the F. Some people call that an appoggiatura, and it usually resolves back to a chord tone anyway. Okay, now I haven't talked about rhythm or anything, but just that's knowing all the C chords really well. Okay, let's depart. Let's try to get away from C for a second. I went to E flat, which is very unrelated, right? But it's okay, because I took my time, so watch. But I came back to C. So even though C was kind of far away, let's try something else. So. fairly common progression, right? I was doing A flat major, once in a while putting in B flat major, but coming back to C. And I didn't prepare it. I didn't do some kind of dominant seventh or anything. I just went straight there. So let's do an even weirder one, like E major. So I'm going to start on C, play a little scale. Remember, a melody could be almost anything. It could be just one note. It could be kind of a rhythm, or it could be a couple notes, 3, 4, 5 notes. I just realized that that's actually fairly popular anyways, to go to E major. Now I'm on F. Let me try A minor. I don't know what it's going to sound like exactly, but that's nice. I like it. Here's another exercise, just kind of jumping around here. But can you just write a melody in C? Just practice making up different melodies in C major only. And I don't even ever change the chord. So just stay here. What can you do? You can just play one note. Success. Success because it's easy enough. There's no mistake in doing that. Now let's try something harder, like more of a shape. A little more complicated, right? Space. So only a few notes and then some space. I think that's pretty important, right? And that was only C. Well, like, what if I added some black notes in? It's like some of the other notes that are like slightly outside the key of C. So I don't know. I'm just trying different passing tones and stuff like that. Okay, I've talked enough about knowing one key really well, right? But now let's jump around. What if we just randomly go to some different keys, like C major, A flat, I don't know, E major, D flat? What is the thing that's going to make that successful? Because those could sound kind of disjunct, right? Disjointed. Maybe, I'm guessing, by having a rhythm that's consistent, that could help. Or having a melody that's sort of the same, that you keep the same shape for each one of those. So I don't know what this is going to sound like, but let's try it. Contrasting. A major, right? When in doubt, use some space. And then that clears the air, and then your ear's ready for something that wasn't maybe the best choice. Like then you're okay again. You're kind of like, okay, wipe the slate clean, start again. So I can't remember what I did there, but I think it worked okay because I kept that same pattern. Went to A flat. And I'm keeping a steady rhythm now, right? So that helps a bit. I forget what else I did. Maybe D flat, I think. And then a contrasting idea, maybe. And I didn't know if that would work, but I knew that the idea was simple enough in the right hand that I kind of forced it to work. Okay, so those are some ideas, I guess, of improv. I guess the other thing to do is just to know lots of music. Right? The more music you know and have memorized, the better. If you know 1,000 Great American Songbook songs and 1,000 pop songs, a bunch of classical music, then you already have a lot under your fingers to work with, right? And I think it's fairly easy to just play in a key, let's say, like, right, and I don't mind that. I don't think that sounds terrible, and there's a time for that. It can sound kind of energetic and dreamy. But if there's too much of that, then there's no melody anymore. There's no song, right? So for something to be, I think, more understood by more people, you kind of need smaller bits, like, and then repeat. That was fairly long, all those notes, but then it repeated again, and then a contrasting idea. And then now the same idea, but over a different chord. And then a cadence after that. That's from Mozart. So let me try doing some of those random chords again, but leaving a bit more space. Let's see what happens. I can't remember exactly which chords I played, but I often choose like a major or basic minor sound, sometimes a dominant 7 sound, and see what happens. Oh, that's another thing to practice. Just sort of jump around, but get to know your dominant 7s, because they can be kind of magical when you move around. So I'm on D7 now. And now I'm going to just go to random other dominant 7s. F7, A flat, B7, E7, but over different bass notes. In other words, still over something that's E. All these notes are from E7. It's just that I put not the root in the bass. In other words, it'd be okay, and that's not bad if you go D7, F7, B7 with the root, and in every case the root. But it's a bit predictable, and people know what that is. They can go, oh, I know exactly what you're doing. It's better to hide what you're doing to some degree. And then it sounds more magical. So for example, D7, and I keep the same bass, play G7 over D, B flat over the same bass note, G flat 7. Okay, this is kind of a rubato, dreamy thing. G flat 7 over D flat, A7, and often a Lydian, so sharp 4 sounds nice. So all those were dominant 7s, but with inversions. A lot of them were inversions, which makes it sound more mysterious, more dreamy. Okay, what were we going to talk about? We're going to talk about, oh yeah, going to random keys. Like I'm just going to go just random major keys without any preparation or warning, and try to make them work. Okay. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to do. Leave space. Okay, so I'm going to leave a little bit of space. I wasn't sure what to do there, so I left a little bit of space and a bit of silence, and then just started fresh on a new key. A non sequitur is okay once in a while, right? It just kind of surprises everybody, but that's okay, because space can help heal those if there's too many sudden jarring motions, right? So space can heal if you're in a bit of trouble, don't know how to resolve it. It's almost like you may have fallen asleep reading a chapter of a book, and that's okay. Just go to the next chapter, start fresh. That's kind of like that. Now I'm going to completely fill up all the space, but I'll try to keep the same vibe and same texture and shape of phrase. That way, hopefully that'll be the glue that holds them all together. So. Exactly everything I did there, but I think what I did was started on a random sound. Let's see. And E ended up, for some reason, E ended up being the high note. And I was looking for a different chord that had E in it on top. C works for that. Leave a bit of space, a little bit of thoughtfulness, right? Start again, A major, B flat Lydian. That was my favorite choice. Hang on. C minor, C sharp minor, D minor. That's kind of nice, right? Because E works in both. See, E sounds good on both. So even though they're totally random, different chords that don't usually go together, the glue that held them together was that common note E on top, but also the texture was going kind of with a certain kind of lilt, certain kind of rhythm, and that was kind of, so that's one way to keep it together, is to hold these things together, is either repetition of some kind, or keeping the same texture, keeping the rhythm going. That's not bad even just by itself, right? Like, let me just try to be really strict with rhythm, but I'll go randomly to all sorts of different keys. What I did, I have no idea what that was. I just made up a bunch of different chords and tried my best to navigate them. But I tried staying really strict. I was like determined not to make a rhythmic error. So I tried to be really convicted with and committed to whatever I chose to put it right in the pocket. And I think that helps. So if on paper that would be pretty complicated. Like it might not even look like a song because there's not enough related material. But I didn't mind it because it was the rhythmic thing kept it going. So there's something. So I hope that helps. I know it's kind of like all over the place, but that's one thing. And I guess the one thing we didn't talk about, which we could do another time, is chromatic and just very dissonant. And that's kind of fun. I could give a bit of a summary. So we talked about traditional harmony just now, right? And by the way, one thing I never mentioned was a lot of the stuff today was without preparation. So jumping to a foreign key without any prep. But of course, you could do 2-5-1s till the cows come home, and that would be kind of cool too. So for example, stay in C major, 2-5-1 to E flat, 2-5-1 to G flat major. Now that sounds pleasant. So that's one trick, and that's the oldest trick in the book in a way, is to do a dominant seventh or a 2-5-1 to take you to the next chord. There's other ways to take you to the next chord too. You could do traveling chords. That's not my favorite. Maybe what's another way to another way to get to these foreign places. Well, I said it in a way already, which is you might have a common tone, like that time that we had the E. And that E is the glue that holds it together. Okay, so yeah, with chromatic stuff, that's pretty fun, right? Because you get to just play any note, and you're not following traditional harmony. In fact, I know there's lots of musicians even that I've heard lots. They almost don't want to play traditional harmony because it sounds too old-fashioned or something, which is fair. You know, they want to be kind of in that more modern zone. So then you, in a nutshell, just try to avoid all the rules that you ever learned about traditional harmony, and you'll be okay. Now that's an oversimplification, but what I like about it though is that then it's all about textures and sounds and different amounts of dissonance or rhythm, but then you don't have to worry so much about the traditional harmony, right? So then I look for patterns too, and I still do believe in repetition for that stuff too. So for example, let's get some kind of dissonant going here, like a. So believe it or not, I had this, I wanted to depart from that chord, so I did some kind of weird thing. Then I went back to the chord, just to give the listener something to grab onto. And then I tried to repeat that crazy line, which I couldn't remember. And then I departed just further away from that because I wouldn't want to stay in one place for too long, I guess. But that's up to your taste. Yeah, with that stuff, I guess it's almost another whole video and chapter, but just to know all your intervals really well so that you can just see them all over the piano, like instantly. Like I can spot a tritone here. So if I'm going for a tritone sound. And then the common link there is that they're all tritones, even though they're kind of wacky and all over the place. But I like knowing that there's something that maybe holds it together, right? Pure randomness is okay too, once in a while, right? But I guess here's where we get into knowing your scales, like some weirder scales, like augmented scale or some double harmonic minor, like, or something like that. Well, for sure, diminished scales. Diminished scale, like so common. And then pentatonics, of course. Oh, how's it go? That sounds pretty modal and pretty conservative. But then if you took that mode, played different pentatonics over that, then it sounds a little cooler. It sounds more like McCoy than in the 60s, but I don't do it too often unless the context calls for it. But okay, well that's, I guess, in a nutshell what that is. But what I like about the free piano playing is sustain and texture. And the range, because there's like 7 octaves. And then the percussive nature of the piano. I'm just making some stuff up, but when you have, not only, drummers have 2 hands and they got feet, but then pianists, we have the fingers also in there too, so it's kind of neat because you have so the combinations are endless. Like you could have 3 and 2. Or let's say 4 and 3. And I could accent the top one more. So that immediately gives you time signatures just by limiting, okay, I'll do 2 fingers, I'll do 4 fingers, I'll do 5 here, or 5 and 5, like. So the combinations, when you go, then you can do a lot of fast stuff, get around the keyboard, and it's kind of fun. Okay, so hope that was helpful. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you later.